Dr. Akinwumi Adesina was unanimously endorsed by the 81 member countries of African Development Bank for another term of 5 years at the 55th annual meetings of the bank, which ended in Côte d'Ivoire in his first term in office. Dr. Adesina focused on a bold new agenda for the bank's group, which is based on 5 developmental priorities known as the High Fives, which are Light Up Power Africa, Feed Africa, Industrialize Africa, Integrate Africa, and improve the quality of life for the people of Africa. During the Adesina's first term, the bank achieved impactful results on the lives of 335 million Africans, including 18 million people with access to electricity, 141 million people benefiting from improved agricultural technologies for food security, 15 million people benefiting from access to finance from private investments, 101 million people provided with access to improved transport, and 60 million people gaining access to water and sanitation. In his opening speech at the 2020 annual meetings of the African Development Bank Group held virtually on the 26th of August, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina pledged to reach out and engage more with stakeholders of the bank to ensure stability and progress with the goals of increasing its capacity and capital, by $115 billion. Joining us now live from Abuja is the chairman of the Development Bank of Nigeria. That's a Dr. Shehu Yahaya, to talk more on this. Thank you very much, Dr. Yahaya, for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations to Africa on the emergence of Dr. Adesina as the president of AfDB. Now, what does this mean to our continent?
Well, I think it's very obvious that the success, the electoral success of Dr. Adesina in the yesterday's elections, I think it's a victory not only for Dr. Adesina, but for Africa, because he has stood very firm on the agenda of expanding the capacity of the African Development Bank to support African countries to develop and grow and to help them respond to the pandemic of COVID-19. And throughout his campaign to renew his presidential mandate, it's very clear that he has received very strong support from all African countries, even at a time when there were maybe different voices from other member countries, but Africa has stood solidly behind Dr. Adesina. West Africa has stood solidly behind Dr. Adesina. So I think his agenda for supporting Africa is what has enabled him to, if you like, succeed in getting unanimously elected with the solid support of Africa. So I think going forward, we look forward to much stronger support for African growth and development, as well as a much stronger response to the deleterious economic effects of COVID-19 pandemic in Africa. I think this is what we look forward to.
Indeed. Now, should the various initiatives of Dr. Adesina in the last 5 years, especially the High Five, I highlighted it earlier, Light Up Power Africa, Industrialize Africa, Integrate Africa, and improve the quality of life for the people. Now, should it stay with this or consider new initiatives, in your thoughts as a professional?
Well, I think the High Five initiative has been an excellent one in terms of communication. And a focus on the areas that are critical for the development of Africa. They've been extremely vital. You already know what these areas are: electricity, agriculture, industrialization, integration of Africa, and also improving the quality of life of Africans. These are the main 5 areas. And if you look at what has happened, actually, let's say you take the portfolio of the bank in 2019, you'll find that, about 10 billion essentially. That was the size of the portfolio of the bank in terms of its programs in 2019. And out of this, maybe about 2.5 billion has been in transport, 2.2 in power, 1.1 in agriculture. So you can see the significant effects. Now, going forward, these are still very critical areas for Africa. If you look at, let's say, power, you are aware that the combined installed capacity of power in Africa is less than that of Germany as a single country. And therefore, you can just imagine how far we need to go. And therefore, maintaining this emphasis going forward, even for the rest of the 5 years, is going to be extremely critical, because power is central to the development and industrialization of Africa. If we're not able to achieve substantial development in that area, then all the other development objectives are also going to be undermined. So it has to remain as a priority. Take agricultural transformation, value addition in agriculture, which has also been emphasized by Dr. Adesina in his program. If you look at that situation, one example that I saw the African Development Bank gave is that out of the money that is generated from chocolate globally, Africa enjoys only 2% of the global revenue, enjoyed from chocolate, even though most of the cocoa is produced from Africa. And therefore, this is just one example of why it is extremely important to continue the emphasis on agricultural value addition for the rest of the term of Adesina. There are several examples. Take transport. We also know that we have a huge deficit when it comes to road, rail, and air transport in Africa. And therefore, this has to remain a priority. The only area that I think maybe will need some additional tune finding as we go forward is when it comes to health infrastructure. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has clearly demonstrated the weakness of Africa as far as its health sector is concerned. So since the ADB is very strong in infrastructure, I believe that it's extremely important to tilt and to re-emphasize and to prioritize investment in health infrastructure so as to strengthen the capacity of the continent to respond to the pandemic as well as any other health crisis that are going to emerge in future, because you have seen how the effect of the crisis in the health sector has devastated, the GDPs of African countries. Primarily, you saw the negative 6.1% growth in Africa, in Nigeria in the second quarter. It's like that all over Africa. In fact, Nigeria has fared slightly better. So I think this is one area in which there needs to be much greater emphasis going forward.
Dr. Adesina, during his first term as president of the bank, also increased the bank's capital base as a financial expert and a former executive director at the AfDB, also Monetary Policy Committee. You've done a lot, Dr. Shehu Yahaya. What are the implications of this increase in the capital base of the AfDB?
Well, I have to, first of all, congratulate the African Development Bank and Dr. Adesina for this significant, massive capital increase at a time when most countries in the world were still suffering from the effects of, the post-recession period and trying to respond to other crises in their countries. Yet he managed to mobilize global support to achieve this 125% capital increase, raising the capital base of the African Development Bank to an unprecedented 209 billion. I think this is a singular achievement, and I really want to emphasize that this must have taken a lot of time, energy, planning, consultations, and stakeholder support. So I think this is a very important point. Of course, raising the capital base of the bank has, what it means is that it has raised the capacity of the African Development Bank to lend to all categories, if you like, of African countries, particularly the ADB-only countries and also the blend countries. It means that it can support the programs of African countries in all the relevant areas and to be able to deliver much more effectively on the high five agenda. Not only that, I think it signals the capacity of the bank to also significantly boost its intervention in private sector, because as you know, that is where a lot of the jobs are created. So the capacity of the bank to support its member countries, both in the area of